NTSB investigators are expected to be on the scene or investigating here in Washington State, the scene of that deadly train derailment, at least through Christmas. Investigators still trying to pin down a cause of why Train 501 derailed, killing 3 people, injuring dozens of others. This morning, we're talking about the potential legal implications of all of this. Joining us is Sim Osborne. You're a Seattle attorney, but you've dealt with transportation cases for 30-odd years, so we appreciate your expertise this morning. When do you think we could start to see lawsuits, perhaps, by some of the passengers who were on that train?
They could start as early as next week, but I think they're going to want to wait and let the dust settle and let the NTSB finish their investigation and see what's going to happen from then.
Clearly we could have some criminal liability here on the part of, this engineer. There's some questions about whether human error played a role in this. If it comes down to something that an individual person did, the engineer, for whatever reason, be it distraction or whatever, do passengers really have a right to sue Amtrak for that?
They do, because corporations and businesses can only act through their employees. So, for instance, if an employee who's driving a bus causes an accident, you sue the bus company because the bus company is who the people hired to transport them. Same thing like this. Amtrak's a common carrier, so if you hire a common carrier to take you from one place to another place, they are responsible for your safety, and they have a higher degree of duty to the passengers than a normal person does.
Do you think that these passengers could have a case? And I know we don't want to speculate. We don't know the cause yet. The NTSB is still working on that. But are there any, what's the legal standard for a passenger to be able to file a civil case?
Well, since Amtrak's a common carrier, they have the highest sense of duty. They have the highest degree of duty to protect their passengers. And clearly that didn't happen in this case. So it's just a matter of figuring out who's responsible and why they're responsible.
There's been a lot of talk about positive train control and technology that exists out there that could have prevented something like this. It's going to be put into place at the end of this coming year, 2018. But, a lot of times when we talk about civil lawsuits, people talk about money. How much money do they want? But let's say you were to take one of these cases. Would you also seek, or is it possible that we could see passengers seek to force Amtrak to make other changes to protect other people in some sort of civil action?
Absolutely. That's often the reason for lawsuits. People are injured and they deserve to be compensated, but also, for instance, when the woman was shot at SeaTac Airport, they put in new warning lights and call boxes and increased reflective paint, that type of thing. That's always a goal of lawsuits.
Is there any factor in this? We talk again about positive train control. It's something that the NTSB had urged, and Congress gave companies like Amtrak, they extended their deadline to the end of 2018. Had they not done that, this train would have had it. It's very possible this accident would have happened. Can Amtrak be blamed for just following Congress's lead and giving them kind of a little push down the road to do this?
Well, they certainly went to the very minimum they had to do.
Right.
They did the very least they had to do, and that's not always good enough.
I do want to ask you, the governor had said yesterday that the Amtrak president had reached out to him, had said that Amtrak would pay medical expenses and other related expenses for the victims for the immediate, for the present time. Do you think that's enough of a response from Amtrak, medical expenses, some other expenses?
That is certainly a good start, because oftentimes people who are injured in mass calamities like this don't have insurance or don't have the ability to get around or someone to help them. So that's a good start.
Are there any other things that you would expect Amtrak to be doing right now to help those victims, to help their families?
I think Amtrak will be reaching out to all of the families like they do and like airlines do after catastrophes. And they'll be reaching out and trying to get them to resolve their claims and help them along and then resolve their claims very quickly.
All right, Sim Osborne, we appreciate your insight this morning. So much we could talk about on this subject, but I think it does have to depend on the NTSB, the findings that they make in their investigation, which I'm sure they can take months, if not a year, to come to those conclusions.
Right.
So, all right, Sim, we appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much.
Guys, back to you.